While that last video rendered and was uploaded, I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice to be able to preserve this art? Because I'm going to lose this in the next steps. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that art layer down and make a copy of it, then hide the original so it's preserved. It's there. But on this art copy, and I probably should have done this before I copied the layer, is I'll go ahead and select all those paths with strokes on them and come up to Object and Expand Appearance. Now sometimes Expand will be here, sometimes Expand Appearance will be here, sometimes when you click one of these you'll get a secondary dialog box that says, hey, strokes and fills. Depending upon what you have, those are the options that happen, and you just got to roll with it. Sometimes you have to come up and expand and then expand appearance again. So if I click on this again, we still have the same shapes. It's not a big deal. But notice they're no longer strokes. If I select one of these things, the fill has overridden that stroke because now Illustrator's turned this into a complete shape. Okay, enough of that. Now we're going to come up to the mask layer, and we want to make a clipping mask. We need the rectangular marquee for this. Click and hold. You can get the rectangular marquee. We want to fill, no stroke, no stroke. Okay, and then make sure your smart guides are on. You know, view smart guides, you know that down here. And then it's real important that we hit this 1,000 pixels just so. And you actually want to verify this because this is really important that this actually is 1,000 pixels square. And if we check our transform, and depending upon where the registration point, it'll either say 500, 500 or 00. That doesn't really matter. But what's important is that we now have this 1,000 pixel rectangle, which is going to act as our mask. That's going to mask out our art. So if we click here, we have everything on that layer selected. And if we shift click on this meatball, we select all these shapes. And then you can either right click on the mask itself and select make clipping mask. It's right there. Or come down as Jason does in his tutorial, and you can see this little icon here makes the mask. Now the next step in this process is to trim all this excess stuff outside the mask. And we can do that with the Pathfinder. I have the Pathfinder sitting right here, but chances are you're going to have to come up to Window, Pathfinder, and then in this little box, these are the Pathfinder options. So which Pathfinders do you want? You want the crop. When you click on this, everything outside our clipping mask disappears. Pretty cool, huh? Now I want to make this a repeatable pattern, but this is really big, and I want to show this pattern on a 1,000 pixel JPEG. So what I'm going to do is come up to transform again. Oh, here we have our width and height. All right, make sure this is locked. That's unlocked. Make sure this is locked. It's 1,000 pixels square. So if I double click right here and type 200 and hit tab, it jumps to a little 200 pixel square pattern tile that we can then make a pattern out of using our handy dandy shortcut. And look at that. It's a repeatable pattern that if we move one element, it moves everywhere else. Hit Command Z for that. Pretty cool, huh? So we can name this thing. Remember, we got our naming conventions. Your ID number, underscore, 01 is, well, actually, this is 05 for me because it's my 5th little repeatable pattern. And then it's the first tile. But first and only tile, huh? So if I hit return and then hit escape, and then on my pattern layer, I go ahead, hit the rectangular marquee, and change this to white. We can change that right there to white. And then come out here, go to intersect, drag all the way down until we have 1,000 pixels square. And you can see it right there. And then just click on our pattern. And the reason we're seeing this extra thing is because I have that guy on. We'll turn that off. And now we see our pattern. This simple little proof of concept is just a place for you to jump off of. And then after the fact, I'll come back in another video and we can color these in. I can show you how simple that is, but you got to remember always to select the two halves of objects that are off the screen. And remember, these three are all one object.